if you, since we really don't need any interpretation, I'm happy to show more projects. I'm happy to show our website and give you as many ideas as possible. So I'm going to bring up my PowerPoint and share my screen. Okay. So Tiana and Milan translated my whole PowerPoint, which is great. But my name is Rachel Klipa, and I'm the program manager at the Office of Public Art in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm super happy to be here with you today. Quick question, do all of you know where Pittsburgh is? Do you know where Pennsylvania is? More or less? We border the state of New York. So if you can think of where New York is, or even New York City, you go west about 6 hours. So we're not far from there technically. So at the Office of Public Art, what are we? We are a nonprofit organization. We are based in the city of Pittsburgh, but we work within the entire southwestern Pennsylvania region, which has about 13 counties, and we're able to work within the whole lower corner of the state. And we have these guiding principles for us that help us to think about our work. So we see artists as agents of cultural, social, and civic change. We want to work in collaboration with community. We want to build better networks with people and basically have communities and artists collaborate as much as possible to think about ways to address certain issues within our region. So for us, as I said, the most important thing, our vision and our mission, in addition to our guiding principles, is to fully engage with the community around us and doing it in a creative way with artists. And we do this in multiple ways. So we have artist resources that help artists learn how to do this work, access different tools for engaging with community. We have public programming, which is what I do a lot. I design trainings for artists who want to work in community. We have public art walking tours for the public. So we do specialized training and general public programming so people have a better understanding of what's going on. We also have technical assistance where people can hire us to do a public art project for them, which is great. And the last thing we have is our civically engaged public art program, which is why I'm here to talk with you today specifically. So our civically engaged public art projects, and these are different examples of them, they are projects where we put artists in communities that have been historically marginalized or underrepresented in the civic process. So each project is focused on some kind of social need or cultural issue, and we want the projects to address those needs or have more visibility. So lately we've had artists addressing senior citizen needs, environmental issues, immigrants and refugees, and a whole host of topics. And I'm going to take you through our process so you understand how we do this. So to give you an idea, before I show you any examples, this is our timeline of how long it takes for us to do work like this, because when an artist is working in community, they need time. They can have shorter amounts of time, but we usually have somebody working somewhere for 1 to 2 years. And it's usually a local artist. And as I was saying to Tiana and Milan earlier, it's hard to bring somebody who's not from Pittsburgh into this situation because they can't be here all the time. So it's mostly local artists. And I'm going to show you how we structure this project over a 1 to 2 year period. So first, what we do is we post a call for artists for the opportunity. We never handpick people. It's always an open call. So we put that out there and people apply, artists apply, but they do not apply with an idea in mind. They just show us their qualifications. And we go through a whole selection panel, we interview them, and we pick the people who we think might be best for the project. Now, a key part of this process is when we put an artist in a community, there's a partnering organization there that they work with. So once we have artists picked, we then put out an open call for an organization that deals with the theme that the project deals with. So organizations then apply through the open call, and they have to demonstrate why they would be a good fit for this project. And then we go through the selection process again. Once we have the organizations picked, the organizations then get to interview the pool of artists. They get to look and see who might be the best artists to work with them. So they have the ability to say, I think this person would be good, this person might be good. So they're very much involved in the process. So we don't pick the artists for the organization for the collaboration. It's very much a very collaborative process, which is great. So once we're at that point, we move through these different phases. So in the beginning, the artist for about 3 months will work with their partner organization and not do anything. They will just go there, learn about what the organization does, learn how it's structured, learn about the community, and just take it all in. And we call that the observation and learning phase. From months 4 to 6, the artists will start to develop some creative engagement activities to start working with the community or within the organization's community to learn more about what people are thinking about, build connections with people around them, and find creative ways to engage people. Once the community engagement phase is done, the artists will start to test some possible project ideas. So they might say, hey, from these projects, it seems like the final project with everybody could be this, this, or this. And after a period of testing in collaboration with the community, they then submit a proposal to us with community approval to say, this is our final project. And once that's approved, then the next year is really about making the project or building the program. So for us, this type of work doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like a sculpture or anything. It doesn't have to be permanent. It could be a program. It could be a field trip program. It could be anything. We're really open to a lot of things. Before I show you some projects, do you have any questions about this process or anything I've said so far? No? Okay. So I'm going to show you some examples of projects, and all the projects I'm going to show you followed this process. So everybody was selected from an open call, organizations applied. Many of the organizations we didn't even know about, which is why we do an open call, because you find so many people you might not have found before.
I actually have one question.
Yeah.
What kind of organizations are usually apply for on the open call?
It's usually a community-based organization. So for instance, for this project, the Larimer Consensus Group, the project was done in a particular neighborhood in the city, Milan, that fell within the guidelines, meaning they served a certain group of people or they do specific work. So it's usually an organization that's dealing with the themes of the project. But it's usually community-based organizations. It's not corporations. It's people that are very much involved in the community.
And do you have like specific criteria for that open call?
Yeah.
What are criteria?
So for the organization, they had to be in existence for so many years. They had to have a board. They had to have a real budget. They basically had to prove why they could participate in this program, because they have to make space for the artists in the community, and they have to show that they have the connection and the capacity to do that. Because the artists, once they partner with the community organization, the organization will provide a space for the artist. there will be someone from that organization that's kind of like the contact for the artist. They have to introduce the artist. They have to sometimes provide space for events.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the organizations that we've selected have that ability. Only one time we had a smaller organization, and that was a bit risky. I mean, it worked out, but in the end, they didn't have the ability to really help the artist team as much as they could have. So we've gotten a bit, I would say, stricter with our organization requirements.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Yeah.
I could show you, I can share later the actual open call for the organization so you can see what was asked. I can show the artist open call so all of you can see what we ask for from artists that they have to apply with. So I'm happy to share all of that with you later. So for this project, this was with art. Oh, Marina, do you have a question? Oh, you're on mute, Marina.
Unmute. I will do it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. As the process lasts so long, does it happen that the artists just drop off?
No, they can't.
How do you tie them to the project?
We have contracts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have contracts for every stage of the process. We've only lost one artist. We do have like an escape clause in the contract because sometimes if the artist isn't a good fit, they can leave. But we've only had that happen once, maybe twice, Marina. But the contracts really solidify the process and help people to stay. Yeah. So
thanks.
We're welcome. I'm also happy to share our contracts too. We have this on our website because that's really helpful for people to understand how the process works and what they're getting into. So awesome question. So with this project with John Pena, he was part of a larger program where we had 6 different projects happening around the city. And we were working with another organization that looks at parts of the city that are really poor and struggling. So the organization that was selected was called the Larimer Consensus Group. Larimer is a neighborhood in Pittsburgh that has been historically poor, is struggling, and has a high African-American population. And so this Larimer Consensus Group really helps to address housing needs, economic issues, and other things going on. And John was the artist that was selected to work with them. And as he was working with the Larimer Consensus Group, he realized that the senior citizens of the neighborhood were kind of invisible, that nobody really knew what was going on there with them. So he started to develop a program for the seniors specifically, where he was able to host monthly luncheons for all the seniors to get together, eat together, and have some kind of social activity. And during these luncheons, he started to interview them. And what he did with the interviews is that he made a new oral history of the neighborhood from the senior citizens. And he designed this, you can see these billboards. It almost looks like a tweet, and the narrative would change every 2 weeks. So you can see what some of the people said. All my life, I was born here on Mayflower Street in 1919, because one of the seniors he works with is actually 101 years old now, and he's lived here his whole life. So he took all those stories and he broke them down. And you can see how they change and how they look during the different seasons. John is still working on this project, even though it's officially ended with us. He has now developed his own organization with the seniors, and he is continuing to find different ways to work with them, especially during the pandemic when they were really isolated. He made a newsletter that he sends out to everybody that tells Larimer what the seniors are doing, and they love it. So this was a really great project, and he's done a great job. Some other thing, oh, this is the Larimer Times. So you can see what the newsletter looks like. And this is Tony, who's 101 years old, lives in the same house he was born in. He raised his family there. And John has become very close with him and with all of the seniors. So it's a really beautiful project. Some other things that we've done, we had a pretty big program that dealt specifically with immigrants and refugees in Pittsburgh, because we have had more coming here. And the mayor's office has a department called Welcoming Pittsburgh. And, you know, they reached out to us and they said that they really needed some help getting immigrants and refugees feel more connected to the city, because they deal specifically with immigrant and refugee issues. And we were like, this is a great collaboration, let's do it. So we put together this program, and we had 4 different artists work with 4 different organizations in Pittsburgh that dealt with different groups of immigrants from all around the world that are here. So for this one, this is artist Mary Tremonte. She worked with Literacy Pittsburgh, and Literacy Pittsburgh is an organization that helps people to learn how to read and write, adults. And it also has English as second language courses. So Mary worked with students from all around the world learning English, and she would host all of these creative workshops where the students also got to learn how to practice their English. So they were doing something creative, but she was also tying in activities for people to use their English language skills. And eventually, through all of her engagement, her final project ended up being these really beautiful drawings of interviews with the students. She made their portrait, and we had them on the buses throughout the whole city. So she even made them smaller, so they went inside the bus where you advertise things, so people could learn about where people are coming from, what they're doing in Pittsburgh, why they're happy to be here. It's a way to provide connection for people. We also had Molly Rice. She worked with a group of women from Afghanistan, and she really got very engaged with this group of women, learning their stories, meeting their families. And based on the conversations and the interviews that she did with them over time, she developed Kuraki, which was a play, a multi-sensory theatrical experience, where she combined storytelling and the cuisines of Afghanistan. So Rice worked with the women, the Afghani women, and the women selected 5 actors to portray them in the play. So the whole play were these beautiful monologues where you got to learn each woman's story. And while you were there, the kids of the women would serve food to the audience. So we would pass it along, and the women made all of the food for the performances. This was a huge hit. Molly has traveled this play to different places, and this was a very, very successful project. We also have Lindsay Sherloom. She worked with the United Somali Bantu of Pittsburgh. And again, she worked with people to develop interviewing skills, recording skills, worked a lot with the youth of this community. And they eventually put together a website that kind of documented the United Somali Bantu experience, or the Somali Bantu experience in the United States, how it's sort of changing in America, and also their relationship to their neighbors. So this was another very interesting project. And finally, we had Christine Bethia. She worked with the Bhutanese Community Association of Pittsburgh. And she had a lot of art mixers where people could come and do activities, but they were really wanting to work with youth in this community. And she actually made a team of young Bhutanese students that they got their producer's certificate at one of our recording studios, and they started making news for their community. They started doing all kinds of programming. They started interviewing people. So all of these artists figured out different ways to engage the community, which was great. So I know we're at 10:25 right now, but well, 10:25 my time. So I just want to go over, and if you want to see other examples, I have them, but you know, how do we do this? Because these are complicated long-term processes. Well, how we do this is that we secure funding through local and national grants here in the US. Sometimes a foundation will come to us specifically and give us the money to do a certain type of project. So this is how we put this together. The cost to implement something like this is $30,000 for the project alone. So if you think about, I'm going to come back up here and look at John's project. He had about $30,000 to make these billboards, but that includes design fees, that includes fabrication, that includes permitting. So you have to figure out how much of that 30,000 is going where. Let me come back. Yeah. So you have about $30,000 for that. Milan, do you have a question?
Yeah, just one small question. And who defined the budget of the art project? Artists alone, or with the organization, or you are also involved in that process?
Yeah, we actually, so when we put out the call for organizations and artists, the budget is already defined. So people know how much money they're getting up front. And
but specific expenses.
So that's a good question. So the artists, they have to figure that out based on the project idea, and we have to approve that budget. Okay. I have a template I could share with you for some things to think about to make sure you're getting all of the line items. Cool. So the artists know they have $30,000, but then they figure it out later, like where it's going to need to go or how much they need for certain things. Also, the organization that's the partner, they receive $10,000 themselves because they are putting in this time as well. So if it's a 2-year project, they're getting $5,000 a year approximately. And in addition to that, since this is like a part-time job for the artists, they get paid $25,000 a year, and we pay them twice a month. So it's like a part-time job. They're expected to be with the community about 20 hours a week. Each team, each organization and artist partnership has a project manager. So that means I've project managed some of these, my colleagues project manage them, and we meet with them probably once or twice a month to keep the project going. We work with them on their budget. We work with them on their timeline. We work with them on their contracts. If they need to raise more money, which doesn't often happen, but we would work with them on that. So somebody has to be there to kind of drive the project forward and make sure that the relationship is good, because there have been times where sometimes the relationship gets a little rocky, but we work with them to fix that, hopefully. As I said before, we have contracts for each stage of the project. So for instance, when it's time to actually make the project, when we've approved it, we have the artists and organizations sign off saying, yes, this is the final project. Yes, we can do this. And then we move on to that phase. So everybody's signing contracts, the organization and the artist, they're signing them with us. And yeah, so like I said, we have a final proposal. And these projects are highly collaborative. So we have so many people involved in what goes on here. We have established cohorts where the artists, all of the artists and organizations who might be participating in this together, we sometimes host large cohorts and meetings, maybe once a month or once every other month. So people can share maybe some of their challenges, learn about what everybody else is doing, share resources. For one particular project that we're doing right now that deals with environmental issues, we made an advisory council of local experts that deal with this to help us make sure that we're doing this correctly, we're sharing the right information, which is really important. So the roles are endless and how people can participate. We have artists, we have community members, community organizations, scientists, doctors, educators, activists, professors, all playing different roles to make sure that what we're doing is on the right path, or to network and share resources. So that's something good to keep in mind. You know, and what are the outcomes and the potential here? for some of these projects, some artists, there's two in particular that have gone on to make their own organization. These have really grown into big projects. Our intent too is for some artists and communities to develop new networks, new resources, new skills, maybe to things that they didn't have access to before. Also, I think that this type of model has a great potential for alternative methods for engaging people, gathering information, presenting information. And I think that overall it's has the ability to improve communication and reevaluate the knowledge that we have, how we think about place, how we talk about places, who really lives in these places, what do we really know about them? And that I think has been the most powerful for people about breaking down stereotypes and actually getting to know their neighbors and our city. So a lot of potential here. So thank you, Fala. And I'm happy, I know this was fast. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have or show you anything else that I can think of.
Komplimenti za vaš engleski. Something related to environmental issues.
Yeah.
Imate neki projekat, možda neki primjer projekta koji je bio vezan za environment i prosto za neku zaštitu životne sredine i tako nešto.
Ja, mi imamo to, Stanislava. Samo da nađemo ovde. Okay. So what do we have here? Environmental Health and Public Art Initiative. So for this project, I don't know how much you know about Pittsburgh, but we used to be a big producer of steel. We had a lot of steel factories, and our environment, the issues here were really serious. Even our air is still very dirty here. We have some of the most polluted air in the United States, and Pittsburgh still. So this is a big topic. And we had 3 artists recently partner with 3 environmental health organizations to find out about environmental issues and what people are doing about them. So I'm going to talk about Aaron. Whoop, don't know what happened there, but his stuff is here. Aaron I project manage Aaron, and he was partnered with an organization called Breathe Pittsburgh that talks about air quality. So Aaron did this project that you can see here. He went around and he interviewed people that live in the most polluted communities in Pittsburgh. And a lot of those people have asthma issues. A lot of those people have developed cancer. He talks about their history of working in the factories and the steel mills. And he put together this short film that has text from the interviews, and you see smoke from the factories and you hear their voice. And he is now working with Breathe Pittsburgh, which is an organization of scientists and activists that are trying to change the policy on air quality. He's working with them to now show this film at small community meetings because they want to get out to the community more to help share this information, to help people learn how to improve air and hopefully access to have a healthier life. So I don't know why Aaron's link isn't working, but I can share this later with you so you can see these examples. And the other 2 artists, Ginger, she did work about water. The organization she worked with, there's an underground stream in the one part of the city. And she made these great, it looks like a grate, but you can actually look down and see the stream. So she's trying to raise awareness about water. And then Mary Tremonte, she worked with Grow Pittsburgh, which is an organization that deals with food and gardening. And she made these zines called Dirt is Beautiful. And she had this cart where people can come and learn about gardening, soil quality, and do all different types of activities. I could probably send a PDF of this zine so you can see what she did, but this was our latest project with environmental work. And Aaron, I could even share with you his video so you could actually see and hear the interviews from all the people he talked to.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions? Do you need me to repeat anything? No. Was it too much information?
No, no, it was really very, very interesting to me.
Great.
And thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do you have any questions on what you're thinking about or what you would like to do? Or what are you interested in?
I'm a chemist and I'm very interested in environmental issues and especially in air quality.
Ah.
And I would appreciate more information about projects you mentioned related to environment.
Yeah, I will send you everything, Stanislava, and I'll send the link to the Breathe Collaborative because they publish all of their findings online. You can see who's working there. I'll send a link to all the organizations. It's very, very interesting. Irena, did you have a question?
No, I just want to say that this is basically how we started, but our timeline is shorter, much shorter than yours. And I don't know, we did this first time. So for us, that's just all it's new, but and it is not, how to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you hope to achieve by maybe trying something like this?
Me, what I hope.
Or anybody, yeah. What do you hope for?
I hope that artists will engage. Pazova is a very, how to say, everybody is so closed. It's hard to come to people. When you talk to people, they are not very open to talk about problems or anything. And we have very closed communities of artists. So I'm just curious how it's going to look when artists will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping to wake them up.
Yeah, of course.
That's great.
If it's possible.
Yeah. So, okay, so Stanislava is interested in environmental issues. What are some other issues? Communication between people. What else is going on that might be a good topic to think about?
Well, let's say we are an association of citizens not far from Pazova. We belong to the municipality of Stara Pazova. We have a garbage dump, which we're transferring into a park.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, but
wow.
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck. So we hope that an artist will do something there, something interesting.
Yeah. And we talked about
made benches. We've made a sand pit. We've made also some stuff for kids to sit and also something somewhere where we can plant some plants. And we're just waiting now for some good soil and to go on.
Great.
Yeah, in Pazova, we don't actually have public spaces. This is very, very bad in here because when you don't have like place in Pazova that you want to show to someone. And this is like, I don't know, like nobody take care of those things. Yeah.
Well, what's the population of Stara Pazova?
About 60,000 altogether.
60,000. Does it have an industrial past or is it?
No, we are just a small companies. We are very near Belgrade. And then we have something like from the SFRJ.
Yeah.
May I speak in Serbian? It's easier for me. Za vreme SFRJ u Beogradu niste mogli da otvorite firmu privatnu na svoje ime. Ali u Staroj Pazovi je to bilo moguće, to je bilo najbliže mesto. I mi imamo mnogo malih privrednika. Zapravo je Pazova najbogatija opština u Srbiji. ali je generalno kao, ne znam, kao ono, tu ti je Beograd, kao ti ćeš u Beograd, tamo ćeš vidjeti nešto lepo, ići ćeš u pozorište, bioskop, bilo šta, a ovde smo mi nekako kao smaknuti, skrajnuti, ništa se ne događa, niko ništa ne uređuje i tako smo prepušteni slučaju.
Idemo u Beograd da vidimo drvo.
Da. A dobro, nije baš tako, imamo drveća. Drveća imamo, to je, zeleni smo, ali je generalno nekako taj odnos prema prostoru, javnom prostoru je jako loš, jako loš.
Yeah. You know, there's a professor I work with at the Faculty of Architecture named Zoran Đukanović, and he has also talked about that public space is sort of a new concept in many places in Serbia. So he and I have talked about that on a certain level. So it's interesting to hear your perspective of it in Stara Pazova. And so the plan for the park then, I mean, is it already prepared to become a park?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
My park.
And that's part.
Yeah, it's leveled, and we're just waiting for good soil where you can plant plants. Mm-hmm. And we have they've promised to bring us 2 trucks of good soil, mm-hmm. and then we'll start planting, and then we'll put the benches and everything else. And we have lots of ideas for that little piece of land. It's on the right on the banks of the Danube. You have beautiful view. Wow. You have beautiful view, mm-hmm. but you know the nobody politically is interested in it, and you have to be politically correct to get something. That's the problem. That's the main problem.
Well, what is the political correctness that you need to have, Marina?
Well, if I were a member of the party, that would be extra good, but I'm not. I'm sorry.
Have you started doing anything with the artists in the park at all? Not yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
We've just started meeting on this project a few weeks ago, mm-hmm. with Irena and her husband and the foundation. I mean, so we hope that, you know, when the artists come, the park is named Burgena. That's the old Roman name for this part of the village. Mm-hmm. And we're thinking of giving them a challenge to make some toys for children resembling something that was in Roman period, mm-hmm. or anything that you know that can arouse the Roman Empire, the history, the culture, anything.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing opportunity for all of you. I don't know how far you are in your planning. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I would maybe recommend think about all of the issues that you're most interested in, maybe environmental, maybe historical, maybe building relationships with public space. You know, you could have a few themes for this project based on your budget. You could have more than one artist. It could be a temporary project. There are so many different ways that you could work. You know, you could even do some kind of walking tour, maybe you find a way to connect this space with the river or to remind people of the Danube, of the view. It sounds like a win to me based on how you're talking about it.
You know, I was there painting the benches and the sand pit and everything for about weeks, and lots of people dropped by to see what I was doing, and mm-hmm. nobody asked if they could help.
Mm. Well, maybe, I mean, you know, maybe part of this project is helping retrain people in a way to talk to each other, to ask questions, to feel maybe more empowered in public space, to remind them that this is your space and you can be here. I think that could be a really interesting process. Maybe there's a way you can get people to interact and share ideas and collect that data that you can share, finding out what people need, what they want, what they're interested in. It sounds really amazing. It sounds really amazing. Or maybe it's maybe you have programming. Maybe it's not even an actual like art project, so to speak. Maybe you bring on artists to develop programming in the park. Maybe you have painting classes. Maybe you do plein air classes for people. Maybe you have some supplies. If people don't have any art supplies, they know they can get them at the class. Maybe artists can do different workshops. Maybe, I mean, that could be something too, where people know they can come to this space. They can get a free class. They can interact with people. There's so many different ways that this can go for all of you, I think.
Yes,
thanks for the advice.
Sure. I mean, I'm happy to, I told Milan and everyone, I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. If you want to maybe show me your outline once you know about it, and if you want feedback, I can give that to you. I'm happy to share all of the resources I have so you can see how to format this. And also, I know you're on a shorter timeline than what we usually do. So if you're thinking like, hey, how can we do this in 6 months? I'm happy to help you think that through. So yeah. Sorry, Stanislava, go ahead.
Htjela sam samo da dodam da nekako vidim da naše ideje su zapravo, moguće ih je povezati i ja stvarno, mnogo mi se dopada to što Marina radi, ali ja nekako u svojoj toj nekoj hemičarskoj glavi, ja sad vidim tu recimo neke skulpture kao neke molekule koji nastaju gorenjem i mislim i vidim tu i neku priliku da ljudi nešto nauče i o zaštiti životne sredine, jer to je definitivno jedno brdo đubreta zapravo. Sve se nalazi na tom đubretu.
Na brdu đubreta.
I mislim da bi bilo sjajno kad bismo to sve nekako povezali, samo što je kontekst drugačiji nego kod vas. Mislim, prosto društvo je drugačije i okviri su drugačiji i finansijski i vremenski.
Znam.
I prosto to se mora sve prilagoditi.
Ali je moguće.
Yeah, well, this is a pilot. So.
Ovdje, ja znam kontekst je drugačije, ali vi možete. Sve je moguće. Ali imam jedan projekat ovdje, zato što ja sam sad zamislila na nešto. Ok, ti si rekla kao molecular something.
Da, znate zašto? Zato što pomenuli ste da ako bi to bile neke sprave za decu, da to mora biti atestirano.
Da.
A ako bi to recimo bili nekakvi molekuli kroz koje deca mogu da prođu, mogu da se okače na njih, to bi zapravo bile neke skulpture, a ljudi bi se verovatno pitali šta je ovo, pa bi onda tu mogla da se plasira neka informacija. Znate, to je jedan molekul koji nastane kad vi palite, ne znam ni ja, u plastiku sekundarne sirovine i taj molekul je jako štetan za vaše zdravlje. Prosto je to tako nešto.
Pa slažem se. Imam nešto ovdje za tebe. Moram ja na engleskom, ali John Peña, ovaj umetnik, he made an emotional landscape that had these sticks in the ground, and people could pick the color of their mood and put it on the stick. And then people could see the mood of the community in the space. So there are ways to take your idea, Stanislava, of getting people to learn and participate. Maybe something like this. Maybe you want to have something dealing with science and chemistry, or is there something in chemistry that could be manifested in the landscape somehow creatively, where people can add, take away, participate. This project people really love this project. It's very simple. It had steel, like sticks in the ground, and these circle, I think it was some kind of plastic, and people could put it right on. So this could be a good model for doing something scientifically inspired into a creative project that people could participate in. And then people can see, maybe it measures learning, right? Maybe you see what Stara Pazova knows, or maybe what they don't know. And then the community comes to the park and they're like, whoa, look at what everybody put up. This means this, or this means that. So there's so many things that you can do with your ideas that don't have to be complicated. They don't have to be permanent, and they could really engage your community. They could engage the place. So keep thinking about all of your ideas, put them all down on paper, and start to think about how to make a framework for that or a plan for that. It's very, very possible. Yeah. Do you have any other questions? Maria, do you have anything to ask or?
Yeah, well, I have stated one particular problem. We have one monument in Novi Panovci that is completely ruined. And
not ruined,
I don't
closed up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I closed up with marble slabs, but this monument was a work of art, a sculpture from one famous artist from Serbia, from 1978, I think. And that was like something like crazy idea from local authorities to renovate, to make a reconstruction like that. And then we saw that actually we don't participate in, like a community, do not participate in anything that actually happens in a public space. There is no communication, so the local community reacted. And they reacted, they contacted the other authorities that can like do something, and nothing happened. It's still like that. The work of art is closed, but I don't see solution. I just hope that artists can find a way to like do something, maybe to raise awareness. Maybe it cannot be, the damage cannot be undone in this moment, but just to raise awareness. And I wanted to ask, what is the best outcome from this activity? To raise awareness, or actually to make a practical solution for something?
I think maybe it depends. Like, I think to raise awareness is probably a better outcome than actually solving anything, because for me, I do not say that these projects solve anything, right?
Yeah.
They definitely raise awareness, but I also think another really good outcome is for people to learn skills to keep doing this, or what remains after the project is done. Did something change? Did the people change? How do you measure that? For me, that's always the biggest question that I have. So you have artists and communities, and then they leave after 2 years. Can these communities still do this work alone? Some don't, some do. It really depends, Maria, on the process. You know, there's no guarantee how it's going to end. But I think that if you can raise some kind of visibility and people can walk away with like something, that's your best outcome. I think for all of you though, the best outcome would be you start this type of practice and then maybe you do it again. Maybe the park becomes a spot for rotating programs and projects throughout the year. Maybe the park becomes the model for how to ask questions about public space. Maybe all of you become the leaders of that. People will maybe think, hey, we're going to go to Stara Pazova to go to the park to see what they're doing, because they're creating this model for public engagement. Like for me, based on what I'm hearing, that would be an amazing outcome. For people to know they can come to this public space, there's something happening, anybody can come, it's free. it's changing, right? And you can raise awareness about some of the things about what's going on. So it's really up to you. If I were all of you, I would really think about what are your goals for this. You may be personally as residents of Stara Pazova, but also as a team, and think about the goals as being something very obtainable, like really define the goal. Because sometimes we want to have a really big abstract goal, but it's not reachable. So be really definitive. Like, we would love if 100 people from Stara Pazova participated in this program. That's a great goal. Or maybe it's just 50 people, you know? Or maybe we want to gather documentation, written documentation from 25 people based on the project. So then once you start gathering that information, it's going to start to grow. So that's why I'm saying this sounds like such a cool opportunity. I wish I was there with you to really participate in it. It sounds like you're asking all of the right questions. Now it's just making a really good plan, being open to the process, and really defining what you want to do, because you can do it. I know you can do it. I think you're onto something super cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for that, for someone believing in us.
I mean, what I see in Serbia, I haven't been to Serbia now in 3 years because of the pandemic almost, but what I see is so amazing what the art scene is doing, how people are working together. I have learned so much. That's why I'm saying you're all smart people. You're all educated. I mean, listen to how all of you can speak English to me at this level. You have all of the skills. You're doing it. There are so many people doing it. I know you can do it. And I'm not just saying this, it's because I've seen it. I've been there. So you can do it. Yeah. And I want to be able to see it when it's done. So I can come to Stara Pazova, and I want to come to the park.
By the way, I'm sorry. When are you coming?
I'm planning to come in the fall, in September.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would definitely like to come to Stara Pazova, meet all of you, see the space. I would love to do that. Yeah.
Okay, we're keeping your word.
I will come. I will be there. I mean, I was with Tiana and Vahida at Krnjača, which was amazing. I will go wherever anybody wants to take me.
Okay, we do.
Yeah. So yeah, whatever you need, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to help with anything I can. And I think you have a really good project on your hands. Yeah.
Thank you, Rachel. This was very useful, really, for our pilot project. So
yeah,
we will keep you updated on our activities. So
yeah.
And this would you promise to send the questions for the organizations and for the artists? Would be really useful.
Yeah, I'll send all of that and anything else that I can think of. And then you'll have all these resources. So
cool.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Is that it?
Okay, Rachel, thanks for everything, and see you in September.
Yes.
October.
or maybe on Zoom earlier. We will see.
Before that.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything.
Nema na čemu. Vidimo se uskoro.
Bye.
Ciao. Ciao.